I've been given the wrap-up signal, which destroys me because I have about 20 other questions. But I have to ask one last thing, Mark, if you don't mind. I'm a huge fan of Scott Cooper,
Yeah.
and you're in the upcoming Bruce Springsteen
Yeah.
film. What can you say about your role in getting to watch Jeremy and work with Scott? Because it's a really big deal, a really big film.
Well, it's weird because it's really a very small part, but the guy is pivotal in the story of the making of Nebraska. This engineer named Chuck Plotkin, and like when I'd agreed to do it a while back, and then I'd done another movie, and then I revisited the script, and I texted Scott. I'm like, "There's not much for me to do here, man. I mean," and he's like, "Well, you don't have to do it, you know." I just thought it would be fun. I'm like, "All right, I'm sorry." So like, but I love Scott, and I love his movies. I think he's a real. He's got a very specific vision, and it's compelling. He's great. So I went out there. The best part of it really was, there was no reason for me to research this guy. He was the engineer. I just needed to look like I knew how to run a board. And there were lines and stuff. And I had scenes with Jeremy Strong, and I had one scene with Jeremy Allen White. But it was all took place in the studio. And it was the studio that they did some of the recording of, trying to get Nebraska right. So it's the real studio. But the real perk of doing that movie was, Strong is playing John Landau, and White is playing Bruce, but Bruce and John, the real ones, were just out of Video Village. They were hanging out the whole time. So, Scott would be a cut, and then he'd just go hang out with Bruce for a little while. Wow. So that was pretty great, because I had interviewed him. So he knew me enough to hang.
Sure.
So anytime you had a minute to go get off the set, you just go ask Bruce some questions. And it was kind of fun to see Jeremy work, both Jeremys. And Walter Hauser was there too. He's kind of a funny guy.
Like this cast and this lineup, I know I have to go. I know they're going to kill me. But what do you think that audiences will see when they see Jeremy as Bruce and Jeremy, because they're both such talented actors?
Well, I think that the story, if you're a creative person, who has come up against yourself in terms of what your vision is, that the story of making Nebraska is a very compelling story. And they're both all in. I mean, Jeremy Allen White is doing his own singing, and there were times where Bruce didn't know whether what he was listening to was him or Jeremy. So, it's a good story.